Hello and welcome to Newsblitz. I am Atinuke Nuke. Remember that your permanent voter card, also known as PVC, should be guarded jealously. Do not sell your vote. Do not sell your conscience. Do not be intimidated. Vote wisely. Now to the rest of the news. The federal government has declared Monday, October 3rd, 2022 as a public holiday to mark the nation's 62nd independence anniversary celebration. The Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, and the minister made the declaration on behalf of the federal government, congratulating all Nigerians on this year's celebration. Aregbesola, in a statement signed by the ministry's permanent secretary, Shuaib Belgore, assured of government's commitment in tackling all the challenges facing the country. The minister further admonished Nigerians to use the occasion of the celebration to reflect on the challenges facing the nation and the role individuals can play in addressing them. Now, as campaigns officially kickstart for the 2023 general elections, presidential candidates have signed a peace accord in Abuja, the nation's capital. The chairman of the National Peace Committee and former military head of state, Abdulsalami Abubakar, appealed to the 18 political parties, their presidential candidates and spokespersons to commit to issue-based campaigns, and that fake news and misinformation of some members of the National Peace Committee at the program included Bishop Asan Kuka, John Onaikon, John Momo, Aliko Dangote, as well as Alhaji Sahad Abubakar III, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba Alkali, amongst others.
I'm appealing to the political parties, party chairmen, candidates, and their spokesperson to please campaign on the basis of issues that are of significant concern to Nigerians. Please avoid the spread of fake news, personal attacks, and insults, and comply with the spirit and letter of the accord.
In line with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022, and in our determination to play our role as regulator, the Independent National Electoral Commission will vigorously monitor compliance to ensure that parties shun abusive, intemperate, or slanderous language, as well as insinuations or innuendos likely to provoke a breach of the peace during the electioneering campaigns.
The use of fear and intimidation, such as use of masquerades, physical force or coercion in any form, including the retention and use of private security organizations, groups of individuals, or purpose of providing security at processions is prohibited.
Ahead of the 2023 election campaigns, political parties have been admonished to maintain peace. The group called for activities devoid of rancor, hate, speech, and violence amongst not just politicians but supporters of various candidates across the country. Our correspondent, Margaret Ogbo, was at a press conference in Abuja and now reports.
Over the years, the conduct of some politicians during campaign has been contrary to the laws and guidelines issued by INEC, fueling violence and rancor. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had revealed the dates for public campaign by political parties to kickstart on 28th of September as provided by Section 49, subsection 1 of the 2022 Electoral Act. It is against this backdrop that these electoral stakeholders are advocating for a peaceful campaign activities ahead of the 2023 elections.
Campaigns should be devoid of rancor, hate speech, inflammatory and unguided utterances capable of instigating violence. It is imperative that campaigns are based on issues and not on personal attacks, vendetta, thuggery, or violence.
We'll be able to see how we can also get the presidential candidates to sign a peace accord to make sure that the election is conducted without any violence and everything.
Speaking on some of their expectations, they urged the youth to avoid being used by politicians as agents of violence.
It is, I think, in our best interest
that as a nation we interact with each other, because elections are interactive engagement. We already have a charged atmosphere in the country, and we therefore need to maintain peace so that we can concentrate in the act of governance after the elections.
It is very necessary for us to call the attention of the youths so that they will not be used as a pillar in which violence will erupt this general election.
Traditional rulers are not left out. They have been enjoined to positively educate their subjects to abstain from violence.
The President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has said that he would not appeal the judgment delivered on Wednesday by the Federal High Court, Damaturu, in Yobe State, with respect to the forthcoming Yobe North Senatorial District elections. Senator Lawan said in a statement on Thursday that he has accepted the judgment of the court, which disqualified his candidature and participation in the elections. The said judgment disqualifies the Senate President's candidature and participation in the elections. The People's Democratic Party kicked off its 2023 presidential campaign on Wednesday at the nation's capital. PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, in a public presentation of 3 books written in his honor, reeled out his personal stories about his birth, public service, and foray into politics. Restructuring as a pathway to the nation's unity and development was one of the 3 books that were used to flag off the presidential campaign. Other books are The Story of Atiku Abubakar, Landmark Constitution, Cases in Nigeria, the Atiku Abubakar cases. The occasion, which was chaired by former Vice President Namadi Sabubu, and various PDP stalwarts were also there to grace the event.
The current government has failed at the very essence of what makes a government, the security of lives and property of its citizens. Our security challenges are legion, and I do not need to rehash them here. Everybody has testified to that. But all hope is not lost. Our plans for Nigeria and Nigerians are as follows: to restore Nigeria's unity through equity, social justice, mutual collaboration, and consensus among our diverse peoples. 2, to build a strong and effective democratic government where the safety and security of our people and their property is our primary and singularly most important responsibility. 3, to establish a strong, resilient, inclusive, and prosperous economy that generates opportunity, jobs, and wealth, rebuilds a vibrant middle class, and leaves millions of our poor out of poverty.
We are very serious. We want to assure you that we are campaigning to win, and nothing is acceptable outside victory for PDP. But this will also require that all of us, we must also work. I recognize in particular that all of us, in this time around, there is no sitting in Abuja. Everybody will have to go back to carry the message home and make sure PDP is not an Abuja party. You win election from your unit to your ward to your constituency, not by sitting in Abuja.
We must call all together as one indivisible people to ensure victory for the PDP. All over the nation, the primaries are over, and it is time to roll our sleeves and work to ensure victory. Because there is no alternative, and I repeat, there is no alternative to victory.
There is no doubt that former Vice President Atiku has been a victim of this weakness of his not wanting to tell his own story for long. The consequence has been that political opponents have cashed on it to spread unfounded rumors and cocktail of lies against his person, and in the process most monumental misunderstanding is public perception. And I dare say that former Vice President Atiku has been the haunted in Nigerian politics.
Meanwhile, a member of the People's Democratic Party has alerted members of moves by some cohorts in the National Executive Committee to derail the presidential campaign, addressing newsmen at the venue of the inauguration of the Presidential Campaign Council of the party. The party national officer and a NEC member, Mr. Chinemere Madu, alleged that a national vice chairman of the party was the brain behind the plot, disclosing when the plot will be hatched. The NEC member indicated that it will be carried out soon after the inauguration of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council and official commencement of campaigns. He, however, warned members of the party to be at alert.
National chairman and his cohorts have confessed to have been heavily bankrolled and approaching and offering members of NEC sums ranging from 25 million to 28 million naira each to address a damaging press conference with fabrications aimed at derailing the presidential campaign. The said national vice chairman had approached me personally as a member of NEC to inform me of plots to orchestrate a heavily funded press conference to be addressed by select NEC members, seemingly calling for the resignation of the national chairman, Senator Dr. Iyochai, but actually targeted at frustrating the Atiku Abubakar presidential campaign.
Coalition of youth groups across the country have said their votes will go the presidential candidates with consideration for a youth-inclusive government. The chairman of the APC National Coalition Group, Francis Shoga, disclosed these at the 1 Million Man March in Abuja. Peter Ishaya compiled the reports.
Youths are known to be the bedrock of any nation, and this is the first gathering of various youths across the country to kickstart the 2023 campaign. The nation has been bedeviled with so many challenges ravaging from insecurity and youth's unemployment. As such, it is important for young people to work together in addressing the challenges.
The youth and our principal are already in cordial relationship. If you look at his antecedents, he is a youth mobilizer. He is someone that loves to work with the youth. So the youth have no choice now to rally around Bola Ahmed Asiwaju for them to be the one to be in his government, for them to be the one to be the face of his government.
Our strategy, you can see we have a program, and the women are ready.
They said the march is to galvanize all Nigerian youths for effective coordination ahead of the 2023 general elections.
That is why today we stand as one people, we stand as united people, we stand as courageous youth to lead the front and make sure all the Nigerian youths come together and vote for Asiwaju 2023.
We are 100% ready. We are not afraid of anybody. This is our country, and as a youth, the way I belong to the demographic of youth, we are going to go out there, we sanitize and sensitize the youth. We tell them why they need to vote for APC come 2023.
Given the number of youths who registered during the continuous voter registration, many stakeholders believe the 2023 general election will be about the young people demonstrating that they can change the narrative of the country with their numbers.
The Nigerian Senate has passed for second reading a bill to regulate and formalize the employment of apprentices, interns, and other informal sector employees in Nigeria. The bill, sponsored by Senator Mohammed Sani, seeks to empower the National Directorate of Employment to issue license and monitor privately owned agencies. The lawmaker noted that the participation of Nigerian economy and by the informal sector showed evidence of violation of employees' rights and non-implementation of labor regulations.
The primary goal of this bill is to regulate this sector to promote strategic objectives, the promotion of rights at work, employment, social protection, and social dialogue. Globally, Mr. President,
This private sector is purely regulated in the interest and for the interest of any citizen of any of those countries abroad, including Nigeria. So I think the bill cannot come at a better time.
As much as we have this issue of indecent work as this bill seeks to protect, the other aspect I would also like us to highlight is there are also situations where these same informal workers have had cause to deal with those who employ them.
Safeguard and enhance their social security and oversee their recruitment by employers who engage in legitimate occupation on such terms and conditions as may be agreed by the parties, and for other related matters. 2022 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Labor and Productivity.
You're watching Newsblitz, coming to you live from our Abuja studio. We will be back with more news after the break. Stay with us. Stakeholders have called for a safer transportation system in the country devoid of accidents and insecurity. Their yearnings were laid at a one-day National Transportation, Environment and Public Safety Summit in Abuja. Correspondent Margaret Ogbo completes the report.
According to the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, Nigeria has about 195,000-kilometer road network. In recent times, there has been a huge decline in road transportation owing to high level of insecurity. Stakeholders believe these security concerns cannot be addressed without an improved management system in the transport sector.
If you look at truck drivers, you see that many of them are indulged in the attitude of alcoholic, and you will see that they will enter road, they will just enter a building, kill a lot of people, and these are part of the asset tests that they are bringing, that they should be able to pass through all this rigor training, and the orientation is also part of it, whereby we need to sensitize our drivers.
The Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, speaks on ways to deepen internal security and tackle insecurity in the transport sector.
One of the major means of transportation from Abuja to Kaduna was attacked, and the government of the country and the Minister of Interior has said never will such happen again. Never again will such happen, as all security agencies are coming together to ensure that we stem the tide of insecurity in Nigeria.
The federal government and other relevant agencies have therefore been tasked to work for the safety of Nigerians and develop the nation's transportation sector.
The rail system, which is under the Ministry of Transportation, is doing all that they can in no distant time, because as we enter into the end of the month, we have people who want to make use of this means of transportation. So before you know it, we are very sure that as quickly as possible, the rail transport will come back again alive.
Hard drugs is one of the greatest killer of the youth. It's when they take hard drugs, they go into the wheels and they want to fly, and that has killed so many youths. So you need the speed you drive. Stop. If you need to get to somewhere early, then leave home early.
Stakeholders here believe if the transport sector is well organized, unemployment will be reduced to the barest minimal. From the nation's capital, Margaret Ogbo, Silverbird News 24.
The Central Bank of Nigeria says it has recovered 3.7 trillion naira from a total disbursement loan of 9.3 trillion naira as it cuts down on intervention with the intention of beaming its focus only on critical intervention programs. Director of the Development Finance, Yusuf Yila, disclosed this in Abuja on Wednesday after the briefing of the 287th CBN Monetary Policy Committee meeting. Here is the report.
The decision reached by the Monetary Policy Committee to raise the benchmark of interest rates translates to a series of approach by the apex body. One of such approach is a quick constraint of money supply. The CBN will yield only to critical interventions, cutting down its robust portfolio.
So you already know we'll be providing liquidity, and then we're going into a regime where we're doing what you call the TXDX. So that's the name C3. trying to ensure that we bring up support capital items, base stations, you know, and a couple of others. Those are the ones that we deem critical. But indeed, interventions have stopped as of yesterday. We're in recovery mode as a development finance department, and we're beginning to recover most of the loan. So it's 9.3 trillion that has gone out. 3.7 has come back. Like I mentioned earlier, some of it is under moratorium.
The need to aggressively rein inflation by this attempt to ensure the money within the system is commensurate to inflation would tell on bank operators.
There will be an impact on the borrowers because, of course, banks will revise their loans, and that will also add to the cost of borrowing. But there are other complementary measures that would moderate the negative or adverse impact on the board. Bottom line is, we see this as a very important, you know, I mean, this is a very, very important and inevitable, decision that would help us to achieve our policy goals, which is to.
Although speculations and fear of further increments, especially if inflation proves more aggressive than CBN's measure, the apex body maintains interest in stimulating growth of the economy. From Abuja, Daniel Kunji, Silverbird News 24.
You're still watching Newsblitz. We'll bring you news from the foreign scene after this break. Stay with us. On the foreign scene, the World Health Organization's office in sub-Saharan Africa says the ongoing Ebola outbreak in Uganda was detected late. Preliminary investigations suggest that the patients could have developed symptoms in August, but it was not immediately picked up as an Ebola case. At least 24 people have so far tested positive for the Sudan strain of the Ebola virus, which has left 4 people dead. And in United States, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has visited the demilitarized zone that divides both Korea a day after the North fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles off its coast. The launch, which breaches UN sanction, comes as the U.S. and South Korea holds joint naval drills in the waters around the Korean peninsula. The U.S. official also met South Korea's leader Yoon Suk-yeol shortly after our arrival in the capital, Seoul. You're still watching Newsblitz. Next is sports after the break. Into sports, Nigeria's under-17 women's team, Flamingos, have arrived in Istanbul, Turkey, to continue their preparations for the 2022 under-17 FIFA Women's World Cup in India. The Nigeria side will observe closed camping for 10 days at the Dead Man Hotel in Kokali before moving to India. Germany will be the first opponent in India before confronting Chile and New England. Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa has had successful surgery on his left arm. The Nigerian sustained an injury in a league game and was ruled out of the international warm-up game against Algeria Desert Foxes at the State Olympic Oran. Musa's Turkish club, Sivasspor, informed that our football player Ahmed Musa was operated on at Acibadem Kiaseri Hospital after the injury he suffered during the Toto Super League match. And that's Newsblitz for today. Remember that your permanent voter card, also known as PVC, should be guarded jealously. Do not sell your vote. Do not sell your conscience. Do not be intimidated. Vote wisely. Thanks for watching. I am Atinuke Nuke.